So here we go. This is my all-terrain vehicle here. Here we go. This is his resting state, and it's got a lot of connections going on. So the driver's seat basically controls the motor to move forward. It has a couple switches that do various things, and I'll show that right now. So switch 1 and 2 control both the motors and the wheels. Let's switch 1 and switch 2. Switch 2 is a little more complicated, not easier to see what's going on. So this is a second engine here, and essentially this engine controls the suspension. This is a softer ride. If it's off, it's a very soft ride. If it's all the way up, it's a very firm ride. You can see that it firms up. So here it is in action. I have the engine at like half speed right now just because at maximum it's just too ridiculous. It's way too fast. It just does backflips. So basically this engine here controls the suspension. I had it off just now. I'll put it at max just so you can see. This is the firmest suspension possible. So if I'm going to be going over rocks and whatnot, then, you know, that bottom chassis there doesn't scrape the ground or anything. So how it works is let me turn that off. So how it works is I have a gas engine there in the back. And I have another gas engine in the front. The front gas engine controls the wheels. The back gas engine controls the suspension. Suspension is due to these bearings right here. So these bearings rotate as the car sits on the ground, right? These want to move upwards just due to the weight of the chassis pulling it down. And what happens is the engine counteracts that and pushes downward against the natural movement of the chassis. So it's a makeshift suspension that you can control. So if I pull this out, this is the motor here, the orange. The two bearings here control, see how they point downward against the ground to basically counteract the weight of the chassis. Same thing with the front. These two here. Everything else is just standard. You know, I had to hook up some controllers to basically control the movement of the resting state. And I'll just show you a quick preview of that. So this is just the stage of the movement. This is the resting state here. And it just goes through these series of movements on these bearings here just to move the wheels down. I've experimented with different setups, like after it's moved out, you know, I can basically crank the wheel around to give me different, like, I can move the wheel inward like that. But I kind of like it how it is here. Just gives me the most traction. It seems to be working the best. That's about it. Part of the chassis is made with the heavy block. I forgot what it's called. Concrete. Because it was a little too light. Just kind of doing backflips and whatnot before. Of course, you got to add a horn. In the future, I'm going to take this design, I think, to improve it. I'm going to basically lengthen the wheels a little bit so the chassis is not so close to the ground. And I'm going to make it a rocket car hybrid. So once it's in this state, then I'm going to use some kind of logic gate to switch to a thruster and create some kind of rocket propelled thing. I'm not really sure yet, but we'll see. That's basically it. Oh, I actually forgot to show how the steering works. So what happens with the steering is there is a bearing right there. The driver's seat controls this bearing here. This bearing rotates this column here. And when this column, like, so let's say you're sitting in the driver's seat, you push D to turn right. This column rotates this way. It hits this sensor here. And this sensor is tied to a controller that controls the actuation of a couple bearings that are tucked away right there. So to see it easier, the bearings are here, and it essentially rotates this entire setup here to move the wheels. So I have the front wheels moving in tandem for turning right, I believe. But the problem is I can't have two controllers set up to move it left and right. So I have the front only moves right, the back only moves left. So you can maybe see the sensor here. It rotates, or this thing moves, hits the sensors. That's how the car gets the signal. The controllers get the signal. So if I push right, the front mechanism moves, but the back doesn't move at all. And that's just a handicap due to the fact that the controller only can hook up to one set of bearings. Can't have two controllers on it. The back, when I push left, and that's basically how it turns. There's no other real way to do it. It works well enough. It's just, you know, if I'm getting a lot of speed, then sometimes the wheels have to be touching the ground, obviously, to be able to turn. But it works well enough. It's pretty hard to control at high speeds, though, unfortunately. So this is it. I think that's really all there is to it. Thanks for watching.